try to make the world in some way better than you found it is to have a noble motive in life. Andrew Carnegie was among the wealthiest and most famous industrialists and philanthropists of his day. From a kid of few means who arrived in the United States with his family as immigrants, he has come a long way. He was the son of Margaret Morrison and William Carnegie, and was born on November 25, 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland. Andrew's father was a weaver, a profession the young Carnegie was expected to follow, but the Industrial Revolution destroyed the weaver's craft. When the steam-powered looms came to Dunfermline in 1847, hundreds of handloom weavers became expendable. Andrew's mother, fearing for the survival of her family, decided to leave Scotland for better possibilities in America. She borrowed £20 she needed to pay the fare for the Atlantic passage, and in 1848 the Carnegies joined two of Margaret's sisters in Pittsburgh. While they hoped to find a more prosperous life, their hardships continued in the U.S., as Andrew's father struggled to sell his goods to uninterested dealers. Carnegie and his family faced tremendous struggles in his childhood. There are undoubtedly certain keys to Andrew Carnegie's phenomenal success, who eventually became one of the world's wealthiest men of his time. This makes us think, how do some people achieve great success in spite of hardships, while most other people do not? That's probably because there are things that successful people know, think, and do that average people don't. We are sharing the secrets that we learned from Andrew Carnegie's life here. 1. Learn from hard times. Andrew Carnegie, reflecting on his youth, once said, "I began to learn what poverty meant. It was burnt into my heart then that my father had to beg for work. And then and there came the resolve that I would cure that when I got to be a man." Andrew's motivation to end his family's cycle of poverty was a driving force in his success. To put it another way, everything in life is meaningless unless we give it significance. Carnegie was able to draw motivation from his family's hardships. Many people make excuses about their environment, being born poor, etc. That's not how it should be. There are so many successful people who have raised themselves from difficult situations and achieved greatness. So, consider hardship as an opportunity to make your life better. 2. Willing to do hard work. To get to the top, you must be willing to put in the work. At the age of 13, Carnegie worked from dawn until dark as a bobbin boy in a cotton mill, carrying bobbins to the workers at the looms and earning $1.20 per week. Carnegie was ambitious, a voracious reader, and he took advantage of the generosity of an Allegheny citizen, Colonel James Anderson, who opened his library to local working boys. Through the years, books provided most of Andrew Carnegie's education, remaining invaluable as he rapidly progressed through his career. He also worked at a different firm, this time as a boiler operator in the basement, while operating a miniature steam engine, an exhausting task made more difficult by the need to produce enough steam for the workers without causing the engine to explode. It was a difficult job, but he maintained his optimism and looked forward to the next possible opportunity. A year later, he was hired as a messenger for a local telegraph company, where he taught himself how to use the equipment and was promoted to telegraph operator. With this skill, he landed a job with the Pennsylvania Railroad, where he was promoted to superintendent at age 24. Carnegie put a lot of hard work into his life and rose to prominence gradually, eventually becoming one of the world's most influential people. These days, most people want instant gratification for their problems. True riches require a willingness to take risks and grow using what resources you have available while keeping an eye out for better ones. 3. Always eye for opportunity. In 1855, Andrew made his first investment of $500 in a messenger train called Adams Express. This was the time when railroads were becoming one of the biggest businesses in America. Carnegie and his boss Thomas A. Scott initiated the future millionaire's first investment. By mortgaging their house, Margaret Carnegie gave $500 to buy the shares, and soon the first stream of dividends began rolling in. In 1861, Andrew was appointed as the superintendent of the military railways. His work during the Civil War got him an appreciation for his courage and management skills. In 1864, Andrew invested nearly $40,000 in the Oil Creek in Venango County, Pennsylvania. Within 1 year, the returns exceeded $1 million. During this time in the railroad industry, Carnegie diversified into several other profitable ventures. Theodore Woodruff, the man behind the concept of sleeping cars on railroads, approached him and offered him a stake in the Woodruff Sleeping Car Company. Carnegie borrowed money from the bank to agree to Woodruff's proposition, and he did not come to regret his choice. He ended up purchasing the business responsible for the first widely used railroad sleeper car in the United States. At the young age of 30, Carnegie earned a fortune through his investments in several different industries, including iron production, Great Lakes steamships, railroads, and oil. After that, he entered the steel industry and expanded the Carnegie Steel Corporation into the world's largest steel producer. 4. Don't ever stop educating yourself. Andrew Carnegie, in his later years, said there was scarcely a minute in which I could not learn something or find out how much there was to learn and how little I knew. I felt that my foot was upon the ladder and that I was bound to climb. Curiosity is the key to making any kind of life changes you desire. You can never rest on your laurels in terms of the information you know. Andrew Carnegie's founded 2,509 libraries in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It's been said that there were two key motivations behind Carnegie's funding of libraries. As a first point, he thought that in the United States, anyone who had the will to work at it and access to books could educate themselves and become successful. Second, Carnegie, himself an immigrant, believed it was important for newcomers to the United States to learn about the country's history and culture, and he thought a library would facilitate this. Carnegie stated that this was the primary factor in his decision. Working long hours as a child in Pittsburgh meant he missed out on school. However, a retired merchant, Colonel Anderson, loaned books from his small library to local boys, including Carnegie. As he later wrote in praise of Anderson, "This is but a slight tribute and gives only a faint idea of the depth of gratitude which I feel for what he did for me and my companions. It was from my own early experience that I decided there was no use to which money could be applied so productive of good to boys and girls who have good within them and the ability and ambition to develop it, as the founding of a public library in a community." 5. Create a mastermind alliance. Trying to amass a fortune on your own is a sure way to fall on hard times. So far, no one has managed to pull that off. If you are curious about where I made my money, Carnegie responded, "I will answer your question by saying that we have a mastermind here in our business, and that mind is made up of more than a score of men who constitute my personal staff of superintendents and managers and accountants and chemists and other necessary types. Master the skill of working with others and building alliances if you hope to achieve financial success. You need other people with you who can help you grow and to build a successful organization." 6. Take responsibility for your own actions. On the single track where Carnegie was operating, only the superintendent was authorized to give commands to the trains. One day, however, when Carnegie got to work, he discovered that an accident had stopped all the trains in traffic. There was no sign of his supervisor any place he looked. Carnegie was terrified, but he sent out the orders, nevertheless, managing the mess and getting it running again. Andrew Carnegie realized that a man can never succeed if he waits to be instructed on what to do in challenging situations. Carnegie started his climb from telegraph messenger boy to one of the wealthiest men in the world by taking charge of his own career. The ability to take charge of one's own life is crucial. Successful people are the ones who take charge and make things happen, despite the fact that the majority of people always try to find something negative to say. Waiting around for other people to take the lead is a certain way to spend your entire life in that position. Take charge of the world around you and stand tall. Stop being passive and start questioning the way things are done. One should never sit around waiting for something to motivate them. There is no one else who matters more than you do. 7. Put away the distractions. Concentrate your energies, your thoughts, and your capital. Carnegie said, "The wise man puts all his eggs in one basket and watches the basket." He said this world is full of shiny objects, and it's easy to get sidetracked in pursuit of the next one. Particularly at the outset, you need to focus your entire being on a single endeavor until you have achieved accomplishment. 8. Make a positive outcome out of a negative situation. In 1892, while expanding his steel empire, Carnegie ran into a series of labor relations problems with homestead works. The problems began when the workers organized a strike. Carnegie instructed his associate, Howard Frick, to handle the situation however he deemed necessary, and left the country. Soon the situation became violent between workers and the hired guards from the Pinkerton Detective Agency, resulting in the death of several workers. The military was brought in to settle the problem, and Carnegie's reputation as owner of the company was forever tarnished. People blamed him for not making any effort to end the fight and leaving the country. Despite the negative perception, Carnegie expanded his company over the next decade until he retired at the turn of the century. Be resilient in the face of adversity, as hard times pass but strong individuals endure. 9. Give back to society. Carnegie said, in The Gospel of Wealth, "The man who dies thus rich dies disgraced." He often stressed the importance of people distributing their own wealth. In 1901, Carnegie was nearing the end of his business career and sold his steel empire to J.P. Morgan for an astonishing price of $480 million. Carnegie's worth is equivalent to $300 billion in today's time. After Carnegie's exit from the business world, he continued to work for and support philanthropic causes. Carnegie began actively donating his wealth to other causes. He provided money for thousands of church organs, nonprofit organizations across the United States, and the rest of the world. He established many trusts that focused on researching the causes of war. One of his greatest contributions to this cause was the establishment of the Peace Palace in The Hague. Hope you learned valuable lessons from Andrew Carnegie's life that you can implement in your life. We will bring more videos like this. If you've not subscribed to our channel, subscribe now and turn on the notification. It would mean the world to our team if you could please give it a thumbs up and spread the word.